In your face, all over the place. We're online 24/7. 24/7. You're listening to the hottest internet station.
From beautiful Saline in southeastern Michigan.
Around the world at sunsky.mysteries.com.
This is the 2009 Top 10 Webcam in the World winner. This is SETV.
Well, hello everybody. Today is December 4th, 2012. My name is Bill Zam. Welcome to another exciting episode of Surrounded by Idiots. We are the Michigan League of Fed Up Citizens. You can watch the show live when we are broadcasting at USSA Michigan. And you can join us at our social network at SalineETV.com. That's SalineETV.com. You'll find the exact same types of features that you see at a site like Facebook. You get an activity area so that you can tell people what you're doing. You know, I just scratched my butt or something like that. And areas for discussing various articles and events. And the best part is we're not like Facebook. We don't report your activities to the government. It's all private, you see. Anyways, in fact, while I'm on the subject, let's take a look at the website. There's the social networking site, Saline ETV, and this is our live stream page right here at USSAMichigan.com. As you can see, we have a nice little description, and there's the player right there, and we also have a chat on there so that we can communicate live with the audience and our guests. And there you go. And it looks just like that. Well, I'm sure that everybody is curious about my latest health report, and my latest health report is this. I'm not doing too bad. In fact, right now my heart rate is 66 beats per minute, which is actually pretty darn good, because last night was the first night that I had taken the beta blocker to help control the problems, and last night it was cruising along at 91 beats per minute, and tonight it is in the 60s, which is a significant change. I am extremely happy about that. We'll see how well my voice does during the show. So what do you say we get on with the show? This is a quote by a fellow by the name of Justice Joseph Story of the Supreme Court. And this is from a book called Commentaries on the Constitution of the United States, Volume 1, Book 3, Chapter 6, the Preamble, Section 509. Believe it or not, it's page 882. I hate to have to read the whole thing for a class project or something. At any rate, let's take a look at what this guy said. He said this quite a while ago. Let me zoom in on the screen so everybody can read it better. The jurisdiction of the general government is confined to a few enumerated objects which concern the common welfare of all the states. The state governments have a full superintendence and control over the immense mass of local interests of their respective states, which connect themselves with feelings, the affections, the municipal institutions, the internal arrangements of the whole population. They possess, too, the immediate administration of justice in all cases, civil and criminal, which concern the property, personal rights, and peaceful pursuit of their own citizens. You notice that this right here, the jurisdiction of the general government is confined to a few enumerated objects which concern the common welfare of of all states. You notice nowhere in there. Few enumerated objects, not going willy-nilly and grabbing as much power as you possibly can. There was somebody else, an old-timer, who also said something about this. This is Samuel Adams. You might know him from his beer. That was a joke. Samuel Adams, in the Rights of the Colonists, the report of the Committee of Correspondence to the Boston Town Meeting on November 20th, 1772. This is from the writings of Samuel Adams. And he said, among the natural rights of the colonists, that would be the citizens. So let me use citizens instead of colonists. Among the natural rights of the colonists are these. First, a right to life. Secondly, to liberty. Thirdly, to property, together with the right to support and defend them in the best manner they can. These are evident branches, rather than deductions from, the duty of self-preservation, commonly called the first law of nature. And what we are seeing is the exact opposite of that. You have these people that are godless buffoons that are running everything, and they seem to think that there are no liberties. There's no the first law of nature. These people are naturalists. They don't believe in a higher deity, and they believe in the laws of nature. Well, the most common law of nature is the pursuit of liberty, the owning of property, and the right to keep your property and your liberty safe, as well as the right to life. And these people are, of course, through Agenda 21 and other Machiavellian machinations, are trying to take that all away from us. Now, last night, if you recall, I yammered on about the real history of the United States and a guest that we're working with for a show in the near future, A1 Jim Vieira. He's been researching prehistory stone structures for a long time, and also researches a race of giants that inhabited this country long before the Pilgrims. Now, I'm going to show you the proof that this stuff actually exists. Actual articles, photographs, and everything else. This is going to be really interesting if you've never explored this before. Now, remember, we've had guests on before, and some of them, they would say, and sometimes I would say, but not in this particular venue, would say that these are the Nephilim, the race of giants from biblical times. However, who knows whether or not they were. But they were big people, over 8 feet tall. And here's my theory on this entire thing. Think about this. Remember, you heard it here first. It's one word. Sasquatch. That's my theory on the whole thing. Anyways, here's some articles that Jim has sent us. Here is the first article. In 1876, there was exhumed another of these giants in the Cowango Valley at Cowan's Corner, about 5 miles from East Randolph, New York. This is actually my old stomping grounds, believe it or not. This giant Indian stood 9 feet in height and had a shin bone 28 inches in length, a foot 14 inches long. Gee, who do we know that has feet that are 14 inches long? I wonder. And a foot 14 inches long and measured 35 inches across the shoulders. These measurements are on record at Buffalo and Washington, D.C. This man was buried in a mound, as was the one at Oswego, which indicates they may have been related to the mound builders in Ohio. And that's something else. That's your homework for tonight. That's something else you need to research. You need to research the mound builders in Ohio. Here's another one. The Giant's Axe. This is Charleston, West Virginia, March 17th, 1902. Dear Mr. Laidley, this begins. Some years ago, when the Colonel Ben Smith Mound was opened by Professor Norris of the Smithsonian. Keep that in mind. Remember what I told you last night about the Smithsonian report and how they would only consider things about the savage Indians. He found the skeleton of a giant which measured 7 feet 8 inches in length. This occurred about 15 years ago, and now comes a sequel. A few days ago, Joe Foster was plowing near the mound and unearthed a stone axe. The axe is of granite, beautifully made and well preserved. It weighs 7 pounds 8 ounces, the largest ever found in this area. Dr. J.N. Mahan bought the axe and has it in his possession. Man, I'd love to see that. Could this have been the giant's axe? Can't you get some of your correspondents to give an article on Indian axes, their history and sizes? Very truly yours, Robert Douglas Roller. And now here is a photograph right here. And this photograph that you see on the screen right now is actually being investigated by a good friend of ours, a gentleman who has been on the show numerous times, one Lynn Marzulli. You'll know him as L.A. Marzulli. He is a filmmaker, he is a researcher, and he is an expert on this type of things. And he does some pretty credible imitations of certain scientists. If you go onto YouTube and watch the video of the show the last time he was on, it's pretty hysterical. This photograph is called Figure 23, Indian Cemetery, Santa Rosa Island, containing abalone shells, radiocarbon dated at 7,070 years. Tops of skulls were painted red, several skeletons measuring over 7 feet tall. Photo courtesy of the Santa Barbara Museum of Natural History, 1959. Now, let's go to this article that's right here. Archaeologist Ralph Glidden, working for the Hayes Foundation, has unearthed 3,781 skeletons. Got that? 3,781 skeletons at Santa Rosa Island, California, averaging 7 feet tall, with the largest measuring 9 foot 2 inches. His records and diaries have recently been discovered in a dusty attic of a California museum. Researcher L.A. Marzulli is going to read through his work and report his findings. Stay tuned. Notice the carbon date of 7,070 BP. Yeah, it's just a hoax, and scientists of the past couldn't work a tape measure, including the Smithsonian's own agents, as you find these same reports in their ethnology reports. And I believe, hold on one second. Let me see here. Hold on. No, I don't have the article. There was an article, where was it? I think it was in the Los Angeles Times, if I'm not mistaken. Here is another article. Burial mound of giant race holds secret. was unearthed by John Bethel and a companion years ago. The thighs and skulls were sent to the Smithsonian. Are you getting the drift of all of this? It seems like everything is sent to the Smithsonian and you never hear from it again. The discovery of an ancient burial mound on one of the keys near John's Pass is spoken of by John Bethel in his history of Fenilias Peninsula. I believe this was in Florida. So far, we have the following areas of the United States where these things have been found. We have been finding them in the New England, in the New York area, in California, and in Florida. Let's continue. They were all over the place. Right here, prehistoric man, 8 feet tall and had 20 teeth. The Smithsonian Institution to determine the age of the skeleton found in Idaho. Of course, you never heard anything about that, did you? Bliss Moore, maintenance supervisor of the State Highway Department, has returned from the Salmon River country, bringing with him the lower jaw and vertebrae from a gigantic human skeleton. And here's another article from the New Age magazine, volume 18, page 207 from 1913. Here is some photographs of the skulls. At the depth of more than 3 feet, he found the remains of several giant human skeletons, including an almost perfect skull, which differed in many particulars from a modern specimen. The tallest was almost 10 feet tall. Here's another one. This one is from Florida. Race of giants once inhabited this peninsula. Mounds near Seminole Bridge give up bones of mammoth people. And here's another one. Race of men were giants. Bones recently found show gigantic stature and a low order of intelligence. So you can actually go back and make the exact same argument that I did before for this. And you remember, you heard it here first. This is my theory. I think that this race of giants is actually still around, and today we call them Sasquatch. Think about that for a minute. Let's all sit back and consider that thought, that theory that I just came up with. Hang on. This makes me look like a college professor. It makes me look really smart, doesn't it? Okay, I'm done considering it now. Who knows? It certainly needs a lot more work and research, and hopefully Jim Vieira will be on the show here in the near future, and he can tell us more about it. I'm looking for our next article right here, and this also has to do with early humans. Now, one thing that we've had on the show before, we've had a lot of guests, and we know from the research, from the history, and we know, I know anyways, and if you are doing your due diligence and your research as you watch this show as we go into our 3rd season on the air, you know that it is my opinion and the opinion of many other learned people that are actually honest with themselves that we have been lied to all of our lives. The textbooks that are used, have been used, and were used to teach us about history, about natural history, history in the United States and history around the world, are filled with lies. They're filled with crap, with garbage, with mush, with pointless blatherings by idiots. So we have to dig up facts, information, research, articles, and whatnot. And this particular article that I am about to talk about comes to us from, hold on, the Discovery Channel. news.discovery. Let's take a look at this article. Apparently, the Neanderthal people were the pirates of the Mediterranean. Honest to goodness, you can't make stuff like this up. Neanderthals, or the even older Homo erectus, or upright man, might have sailed around the Mediterranean, stopping at islands such as Crete and Cyprus, new evidence suggests. I love it when they say suggest. That means like they found a bit of pottery or a finger bone or something like that. New evidence suggests. It's like when you read all that half-witted crap. New research suggests that eating a tomato a day will make you live to 400 years old. The evidence suggests that these hominid species had considerable seafaring and cognitive skills. And you know that flies in the face of everything that you know about the Homo erectus and the Neanderthals. That they were the Neanderthals especially, we've been led to believe they were a backwards race. They weren't inventive. They were just pushed aside and made extinct by modern human beings when they showed up. Well, as we are finding out, that's not necessarily the case. They had to have had boats of some sort. Unlikely they swam, said Alan Simmons, lead author of a study about the find in this week's Science. Many of the islands had no land bridges. Thus, they must have had the cognitive ability to both build boats and know how to navigate them. In other words, make them go from point A to point B, whether it be by sails, paddles, hanging out the back and kicking their feet, or whatever. Conventional wisdom used to be that none of these islands had too much settlement prior to the Neolithic because the islands were too impoverished to have supported permanent occupation, Simmons said. This likely is untrue. Hunters and gatherers can be pretty creative. That is a very, very interesting article. And it may or may not tie in with the race of giants. It's hard to say. What we're learning is, what I'm learning anyways, is that as I dig deeper into the remote past, early human beings on this planet, I am finding that it really is quite remarkable what these people were actually capable of doing. It's really something. And now, to go on to something even more interesting, well, no, not interesting, I'm not going to say that, something totally different than what we've just been discussing. This comes to us from, let me see here. This comes to us from liberationinformation.com. And let me see here. I know I've got this here somewhere. Let's see. Not that one. It's not that one. There we go. Right there. Information Liberation. This is by Wendy McElroy. And this is called Obama Theatrics, Obama Reality. President Obama has been too quiet lately. And when he does speak, he says little of substance. For example, on the looming fiscal cliff that has America totally panicked, he held a press conference on November 28 to urge people to tweet Congress. The only hard policy statement included was a reiteration of his own well-worn proposal to not raise taxes on families earning less than $250,000 a year. She says, tweets, really? Why not have a bake sale? In everybody's autobiography, 1937, the American expatriate Gertrude Stein expressed the futility of returning to her childhood home in Oakland, California by writing, this is in 1937, remember, "There is no there there." The phrase has come to indicate something that is empty of meaning or substance. People who make the mistake of listening to Obama's rhetoric often conclude there is no there there. His plans usually consist of sermons in which his voice rises and falls to emphasize phrases like American exceptionalism and social justice. They are packed with promises but lack substance as to how anything can be accomplished. And of course, I've told you before how all of this works in Washington, D.C. Here's what happens. A Democrat gets up and goes, "Hey, I got a really bad idea." And then the Republican gets up and says, "Yeah, and I can make that idea even worse." And that is how the United States is run on a day-to-day basis. These people are totally clueless. Both the Democrats and the Republicans. They're a bunch of idiots. And that's why the show is called Surrounded by Idiots. And now, what I want to do, I'll let you go there and read the article in its entirety for yourself. It is pretty interesting. My voice is beginning to get hoarse. We've been on the air for, about a half an hour or so. So I'm still in the testing phase of seeing whether or not I can talk for any length of time so that we can actually do 2-hour shows with guests once more. The promise of hypersonic flight sending us halfway around the world in a matter of hours is being bandied about one more time, this time by a British company that declares, with all due humility I might add, that it has made the biggest breakthrough in aerospace propulsion technology since the invention of the jet engine. And let me see here, let me find, nope, that's not that, that's here it is right here. Let's take a look at the article from, what magazine is this from? This is actually from Wired magazine. There you go. Hypersonic breakthrough could have us in Tokyo by lunch. And this is by Jason Power. P-A-U-R. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name right. The Reaction Engines Limited says it has developed an engine shown in this rendering of the firm's Skylon aircraft that would allow us to fly halfway around the world in a matter of hours. You know, as well as I do, that they're not going to let this thing get off the ground. There's no way. It's going to be too many greenhouse gases that these engines put out, and it's going to be going so fast it's going to scare the seagulls down there in the ocean when it's flying over the ocean, and it's going to create this great big sonic boom that's going to be heard around the world, and we can't have that because it's going to upset people. At any rate, the Reaction Engines Limited, that's Reaction Engines Limited, says its hypersonic engine will send us streaking across the skies at over Mach 5, allowing us to have bagels for breakfast in New York and sushi for lunch in Tokyo. The hypersonic engine design reportedly includes new ways of cooling the air for an engine that will use oxygen in the atmosphere up to 5.5 times the speed of sound before switching to rocket power for the ride into space. Yeah, the reason why I'm laughing is you're going to have a bagel in New York. You're going to go to LaGuardia, pay $12,000 for a ticket on this damn thing, and then fly to Tokyo for a sushi lunch. That just strikes me as hysterical. Like anybody's going to be able to afford a damn ticket on that thing by the time these people are done with the fiscal cliff. That thing's going to be sitting on the runway for about 3 weeks waiting for just one passenger because nobody's going to have a job and nobody's going to have any money. Oh, I crack myself up. And I think think I'm just going to go ahead and end the show on that note. They're gonna have rocket engines and go Mach 5.5, and tickets are going to cost $12,000 a piece. Yeah, okay. They don't. Now, I want to be clear. The Wired article doesn't say anything about the price of the tickets, but you know damn well the tickets aren't going to be like $90. And you're probably not going to be able to have any luggage either. And then there's going to be your environmental concerns and everything else, and then somebody's going to come up with a brand new conspiracy that they're tearing a hole in the magnetic shield around the planet, or they're going to make the planet spin faster. There you go. They're going so fast and dragging so much air behind them that the planet is actually going to change speed, and that's going to precipitate a pole shift. Who needs December 21st when you've got the Skylon Sky rocket? Well, my name is Bill Zam. Thank you for showing up for the show. And I'm going to go have dinner and take my medications and check my blood pressure one more time. And then I'm going to call the airport and see if I can get a ride on the rocket plane. Have a good night.